Imagine climbing the highest peak on each continent. How about circumnavigating the world in 35 days in a single-engine plane? Or rowing across the Atlantic? Or motorcycling through the Mojave Desert? Now imagine doing it in 1 year. We'll tell you about Dawsons Peak with the creator and his Hollywood partner who are making these transformational journeys a big charity fundraiser.
Undercover Jet Setter, navigating your world.
And hi everyone, John Daly here. And talk about jet setting the world. I met Matt Dawson and Jay Jablonski at a charity golf event for Hope for the Warriors, a charity that helps war vets get back into life. And when they told me about Dawson's Peak project, I said, we need to talk. So here they are. Matt Dawson, who goes by Dawson, is a successful investment banker who changed his unfulfilled life by finding a purpose, not just to navigate the world, but to provide purpose for others. And Jay Jablonski is an actor-producer. You know him from films such as Take Me Home Tonight, The Big Short, and my favorite, Everyone Wants to Be an Italian. He is the director of operations for Dawson's Peak. Dawson and Jay, welcome to Undercover Jet Setter.
Hey, thank you for having us, John.
Thanks for having us, John. Appreciate you.
Well, I've been wanting to talk to you guys for a while about this after we had met. So now I want to talk to you about climbing the highest peaks on each continent and traversing the world by rowboat and plane and motorcycle in the Mojave, and also the celebs who are involved. But first, tell folks about what made you first create Dawson's Peak.
Yeah, it's this is something that we discussed when we had a chance to meet at Hope for the Warriors, as you mentioned. But I was at a point in my life. I was 37. I was comfortable in my personal life, professional life, but I just really had a sense of not having any purpose. And no matter kind of what I accomplished personally or professionally, I always had a kind of a sense that something was missing. And around that same time, I lost two of the most important women in my life, and knew with those two losses, especially coming so quickly together, that was really the time for a change. So with that, about 2 weeks after the second loss, I jumped on a plane by myself and went to Nepal. Spent 3 weeks hiking alone around Mount Everest and around base camp, and discovered that this loneliness and emptiness that I'd felt for so long was because, as I mentioned, I wasn't living with any sense of purpose whatsoever. And then secondly, I had no real idea of the impact that I wanted to have on others, that I wanted to have on the world, and how I wanted to kind of help move people forward. And it was also on that trip that I discovered mountain climbing. And prior to that trip, I had no climbing experience. But over about the next year and a half following that trip, I climbed 3 of the 7 summits, which is the highest peak in each of the 7 continents. And it was on those trips that slowly I put in place, maybe there's a way to combine this new passion of mine from climbing with a way to help people. And this is something that Jay and I had been talking about for many years together, about how we could make a bigger impact on the world and help people live with greater purpose. And so it was finally just kind of a confluence of, all these different factors, and you have what we have today, which is Dawson's Peak.
Wow. Jay, talk about, the fact, some folks may look at this and just say, this is just some wealthy, daring guys having fun. Explain how you guys are really helping each other and how that's the key to Dawson's Peak. If you can, just kind of, how does it seep out into people who are going to be not only watching this, but participating in this?
Yeah, absolutely. Our mission at Dawson's Peak is to inspire personal transformation by pushing the boundaries of human capability. In the case of the project that'll be coming up and some of the things that are going on, Dawson's going to be summiting, the highest peaks on each of the 7 continents. That should be symbolic, metaphorical for, if he can cross that mountain, then maybe the person who's going through something in their life can cross the hypothetical mountain that they're facing as well. Much like Dawson also said, there was an unfulfillment that I believe that I had as well. My industry, it's an up and down sort of thing. It's a roller coaster, and you can kind of get sucked into the feeling of that victimhood of I'm not where I want to be. This wasn't as good a year as last year, whatever it was. But the best way to get out of that is really by taking the attention off of yourself, taking the attention off myself, and putting it towards other people. And that's sort of what we stand for at Dawson's Peak, is moving from self-centered to service-centered. And with keeping that in mind with all that we do, it helps us to not only become better ourselves, but to lift up those around us.
So now the proceeds from all this are going to go to Hope for the Warriors. How are you actually raising money for this, Dawson?
Yeah, so it's actually going to two groups, and this has expanded since we had a chance to talk last time. So we're working with Hope for the Warriors and also Gary Sinise Foundation. So we're very excited. Gary's group was a recent ad for us. We're very excited with that. And as you mentioned, they're going to be receiving 100% of the net proceeds. The way that we're financing this is currently we're financing everything internally, but we're speaking with several large corporations. We have a number of sponsors that have verbally committed to join. So the sponsors will be providing, both assets and financial resources, but also we're looking to raise funds from individual donors as well, who can donate directly through our site, which is just dawsonspeak.com. And then lastly, we have a new initiative that we're starting, which is a text donate campaign, which will be launching most likely on November 10th of this year, which is the day before Veterans Day. The initiative is called $1 for a Veteran. And the way that people can get active on that is they would text the word VET, D-E-T, to a short code, which is likely to be 71777, and they can donate directly through that as well. And again, both Hope for the Warriors and Gary Sinise will receive 100% of the net proceeds with that initiative as well.
Wow, two great organizations. So if you can, just give the website again, and then give me that texting information too.
Yeah, certainly. So our website, Dawson's Peak, is dawsonspeak.com. It's spelled just like it sounds. The text to donate initiative is called $1 for a Veteran. The way that you participate in that is to text the keyword VET, V-E-T, to short code 71777. And that will be fully active as of November 10th. And that'll run through the entire length of the program, or of the expedition, 7 for Soldiers. So that'll be active until March of 2021.
All right, we are talking to Matt Dawson, the creator of the transformational project called Dawson's Peak, and actor-producer Jay Jablonski, sorry about that, Jay, who is also the director of operations. If you want more information, as I said, go to dawsonspeak.com. Great info, and there's a great video narrated by Gary Sinise on the website, and so you can find out more. So Dawson, you've done all these journeys of great physical and mental feats within a year's time. It's called the EGS, the Explorers Grand Slam. Explain exactly what that is and how you'll be doing that over this next year.
Yeah, so the Explorers Grand Slam is one of the components, and the Explorers Grand Slam is made up of climbing the 7 summits, which is the highest peak on each of the 7 continents, plus trekking to the North Pole, South Pole. So those 9 activities form the single activity known as Explorers Grand Slam. Currently, only 5 people have ever completed that in a single year. And that'll take place, the climbs and treks will take place throughout the year, and interchanged with those, we'll have the global flight, which will take around 35 to 50 days, which, as you mentioned, is going to be a single-engine plane. And then that'll also include a ride across the Mojave Desert. During that ride, as you've mentioned a couple times, we'll have a number of celebrities that are looking to participate with us, including Gerard Butler and Jeff Stolt and A.J. Buckley. And we're currently filling that roster out, along with 10 veterans from both Gary Sinise and Hope for the Warriors. And then the last component will be rowing a boat across the Atlantic Ocean, which will take around 35 to 50 days.
Wow. So the celebs and the vets, they're not going to do all of them. They're going to just do selected ones with you. Is that right?
Yeah, exactly. They're going to do just the ride across the Mojave. The rest of them is I'll be the only person traveling and doing those. But on each of those activities, I'll have people joining me, but no one will be joining me for the entire expedition. Okay.
Jay, how come you're not?
I wasn't invited, John. No, honestly, this is our inaugural project, and Dawson's Peak is in the beginning stages, and while Dawson's away, I'm going to be holding down the fort and representing the company domestically in the best way that I can. So we'll have one overseas and one at home the whole time.
Okay, that's great. And just explain to folks too. You're still acting and you're still doing producing at the same time too, correct?
Yes, sir. Yeah, actually just wrapped a guest spot on a show yesterday. I have a movie that I begin producing that starts late November, and that'll wrap around Christmas time. But we're full bore into turning Dawson's Peak into something special. It's very important for the listeners to understand that Project 7 for Soldiers, which is the name of the expedition Dawson's going to be stepping out on in April, is not that's just our inaugural project. This is not a one-off event for our organization. This is just the first one. Our goal is to have many of these events, multiple events per year, with different sponsored athletes, all benefiting different third-party organizations moving forward. In order to inspire the personal transformation that we talk about, these events are enormous in scale, as you can tell from the one Dawson's stepping out on. It's like I said, it's indicative, it's representative of if Dawson can cross the ocean literally by rowing across it, maybe you can cross the ocean that you're facing in front of you as well.
Wow, this is just, it's so spectacular. Dawson, if you can go talk about the studs that you have on board. You mentioned them really quickly. Can you just kind of go through who they are, because these guys are Jablonski like actors who are studs. So talk about the three that you have on board already.
Yeah, we're very fortunate to be having these guys on board. Currently, Gerard Butler, Jeff Stoltz, and AJ Buckley are going to be coming with us, and these are all pretty recognizable names. AJ plays the character Sonny on CBS SEAL Team, which is the number one show on CBS right now. AJ also sits on our board, so has been very instrumental in getting this project off. These are all great guys. When we communicate to them, what we're about, what we're trying to do, who we're trying to help, these are the first guys to raise their hands. So we really appreciate that, both their support and their excitement. And as I mentioned, we have a number of different contacts in the space to where we're going to be filling out this roster to where when it's all said and done, we'll have probably 10 to 15 celebrities and professional athletes. And the reason we're bringing these guys along is that we want the veterans to really feel like they're part of this, obviously because they are. And it's not just, they're not just groups that we're raising money for. And we want these guys to be around people that they've seen on television, whether it's sports or acting or some facet of entertainment, and to get them to understand that, at the end of the day, people are people. And I don't care if you're an Emmy Award nominated, actor, or if you're a Iraqi vet. It's, people are people. We all have our successes and our failures and our hopes and our fears. And it's really just a way to kind of bring everybody together and kind of in that common bond. So we're very excited about that.
If you can, talk real briefly, because you mentioned this about how retired athletes and then some of these vets who are coming home from war, they actually have a lot in common. Talk about how you kind of want to get them to bond that way.
It's just, people, it's easy for us to lose sight, based on our jobs and our life experiences, that people at the end of the day, we're all the same. And I don't care, whether you're, a trash collector or an actor or a vet or, whatever you are. Everybody has, drivers and fears and motivations and hopes and dreams. And it's easy to get disconnected a lot of times by kind of our life experiences and what we do, and to kind of identify differences between one another rather than similarities. And that's something that it touches on what Jay talked about earlier is, whether, I'm climbing a mountain or crossing an ocean, the point is not me climbing a mountain or crossing an ocean. The point is to be able to draw parallels between what I'm doing and what our viewers have in their lives. So this is kind of along that same path of drawing parallels and understanding that at the end of the day, we're all the same people. We're all looking for the same things, but we're just going about it in slightly different ways. Is kind of how we're looking at it.
So at any point, and Jay, I'll throw this to you. Somebody's going to be watching this, and down the road, okay, I'm not an actor, I'm not a TV star, I'm not a former professional athlete or anything like that, but I'd like to do what Dawson's doing. Can just the everyday person want to join you guys and actually go on these treks with you?
Well, I would be remiss if I just said yes to that. And the reason being is, an undertaking of this capacity, what Dawson's going to set out to do over the course of next year. Number one, Dawson's been training for this for well over a year now, and he's been training with some of the biggest people in the field of mountain climbing, et cetera. That not only takes an enormous amount of time, it also takes quite a bit of money. As you can imagine, this being a global event, that also has a very large monetary aspect to it as well. Not only getting to these places, but hiring the guides, et cetera. But that being said, we're all able to do something. We're all able to do something that's relative to our means. And if you want it bad enough, I think you can go out and figure out a way to do it. So while we're not, out there just inviting people to come along on these specific events right now, maybe there will be something in the future. But in the meantime, if this does inspire you, and we certainly hope that it does, go out and do what you can and inspire your neighbor, next to you. You don't have to inspire the world. You just have to inspire somebody. And hopefully that becomes sort of, a chain reaction, and that snowball effect happens, and it becomes, where a rising tide lifts all ships.
And and that's a really good point about how much it takes to be done. Dawson, talk about the physical preparation for all of this, because you've literally transformed your body physically into something different to get this done. And you were an athlete anyway. You were just a different kind of athlete. You were more of a football athlete. Talk about the metamorphosis of your body and the change that it went through.
Yeah. So as you pointed out, I'm 40 years old now. But in my early 20s, I played football in college, D1A football, and then afterwards, for several years, I bounced around between teams in the NFL, in Arena League. Finally, got a couple contract offers, but by that point, kind of my mid-20s, I decided I wanted to start getting involved in banking and such. But with that background, I was always a strength and power athlete. Short burst, power, things like that. In addition, I've always enjoyed lifting heavy. So even up until my late 30s, as you're kind of alluded to, I was a bigger guy. I was about 240 pounds, but relatively lower body fat. But I enjoyed lifting heavy weights and still being active in power sports. And when I actually first started climbing, I was still a little over 240 pounds. And you very quickly understand that just because you can squat a lot or deadlift a lot, that doesn't transfer very well over to a mountain. And it's actually a negative, rather than a positive, trying to haul that much weight up a mountain up, north of 20,000 feet. So over the last year, a little over about 13 months, I've lost about 40 pounds and around 11% of body fat. So it really transformed physically. As Jay mentioned, I hired some world-renowned coaches that write and track all my daily training, and I literally train every single day in some capacity or another. There's very rarely a day off. Last year, we just estimated that I trained about 850 hours in a year. And to go from no endurance experience whatsoever to 850 hours is a lot, just to be honest with you. And then everything I eat is tracked. Everything all the sleep, basically every single thing you can possibly track, is tracked. And it's been a quite a challenge, but it's been pretty fulfilling to finally start getting in a position now where I can see an end. Where we're getting kicked off in April. I'm in a position now where I feel good. I'm performing well. My climbing rates are where they need to be, and really just on a big uptick, and think we're going to move into this, on that uptick to really kind of ensure our success here. Yeah, no, I appreciate you mentioning that. And, one thing, and this kind of ties back to also some of the stuff that Jay had touched on, is that, when you're thinking about things like this, most people think that it's all physical, that it's just physical changes. And that's a component, but it's like anything else. It's psychological and mental changes and challenges that come along with it are by far the most, challenging and important things. And, honestly, it was very difficult for me psychologically and mentally to make that transformation from a strength and power to an endurance athlete, to where now I can easily out-climb and outperform what I could before on the mountain. But when I go in a gym, I can't move anywhere near the kind of weight I used to be able to move. So part of, and that took a lot of time to kind of adjust mentally and emotionally to that, and allow yourself to change. And I think that corresponds well to the changes we go through in our lives. Is you can't get stuck into a single groove or a single perception of yourself and to say, hey, this is me. You've got to allow yourself the flexibility to change both physically and mentally. And that's something that I've, taken from this. I really didn't expect, to get it as much as I have.
All right. Jay, before we wrap up here, so this is actually going to start. This is going to start in March of 2020. Is that correct? April of 2020. How can people follow this? What's the best way for them to follow so they can see all the stuff that's going on?
Right now, we are up on Instagram primarily. Dawson, we do have a Twitter account as well. Not really been active on that just yet. Along with, as Dawson mentioned, we're out to a number of corporate sponsors right now, and we've secured actually quite a few just in the last few weeks alone. With that is going to open up an entire network it's going to open us up to their network. And from there, we're really going to start making a much larger social media push. In addition to that, we are in talks with a very, very large production company right now about turning this into a docuseries. That isn't done. And as you know, John, in this industry, you can't really count on anything until, pen hits paper. But we, so far so good. We are hopeful, and we continue to push for that because we do believe that would be really just an amazing thing to get out there to the world, where they can watch what Dawson's going through and really be inspired by that. But the best way to follow us is on at Dawson's Peak on Instagram. Also go, check us out on our website, dawsonspeak.com for sure. And more things will be coming and posts coming along with both of those in the future.
Once we actually get going and kick this thing off, there'll be a tracker available on our website.
Oh yeah.
Where people can see exactly where I am at all times, what I'm doing, climbing rate, all that kind of stuff. In addition, we'll have the YouTube channel updates. So there'll be video, text updates, regularly as well.
Okay. And if people want to donate, how do they do that?
It's you go to dawsonspeak.com and there's a click to donate button there. And then also, as of November 10th, we'll have the $1 for a Veteran program. To be active on that, you simply text the short code VET, V-E-T, to 71777 on and after November 10th. And 100% of the net proceeds are going to benefit Hope for the Warriors and Gary Sinise Foundation. So we greatly appreciate anyone getting involved there. It's going to be a tremendous help to us.
Wonderful. We've been talking to Matt Dawson, the creator of the transformational project called Dawson's Peak, along with his partner, actor-producer Jay Jablonski, who is also the director of operations. If you want more info, just go to dawsonspeak.com. That's DAWSONS Peak, PEAK.com. There's no apostrophe in there. Dawson and Jay, we will be watching. Thank you so much for letting me talk to you guys.
We
John,
appreciate you,
very
John.
much,
Thank
man.
you for having us.
Yeah. Tremendous help.
All right.
You're doing a great thing with everything you're doing, so thank you very much.
All right, well, we'll do it again. We'll keep following you, that's for sure. And folks, thanks for joining us about these incredible journeys that we're going to be watching. We will be following Dawson's Peak as well, so check in with us on our Facebook. That's at Undercover Jet Setter, and also on Twitter at UC, that's the letter U and the letter C, Foodie TV, at UC Foodie TV. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's youtube.com/undercoverjetsetter. We'll catch you next time.
See segments and episodes at youtube.com/undercoverjetsetter.